Hello everybody, Richard here from the White Walkers. Thanks for the drink, Bex. Bex, I've just had a text message. This is relevant. I am live, but you know they can know the in and outs of our day. John has 3 jobs, mostly small. They're going to do them first, so probably won't be here till this afternoon.
Okay, thanks, let me know.
Would you like to commentate instead?
No, I should probably keep the small child out of the room.
Okay, I will talk some words.
Have fun.
Okay, we have moniars for Team Baratheon, and we have Sophie for Team Stark. We have Baratheon Wars to come against Stark White Book. Let me just make it slightly easier to see for you. Yes, I think we are 4-3. Don't quote me on that. I think we're 4-3 in the game after we had a loss this early hours of this morning. So this is a crucial game. Could end up with a 5-5er. So war to come. Not sure what that's going to do. Could be anything. It's going to be smugglers. And Stark White Book seems a little bit more easy to understand what it's going to do. Okay, Robar Royce. I haven't seen this guy before, ever. Except in playtesting. So we have a -1 initiative modifier, and he cannot be declared as an attacker or defender in the first challenge each player initiates each phase. Nice. Okay. And a Baratheon player has a Lyseni Galley, Dragonstone Port, King's Landing Smuggler, and Lyseni Pirate. So we have at the gates into the White Swords. So the White Sword's going to be quite big for tempo because you can put in something big like Baratheon, and then you still have 6 gold as well, which is the equivalent of a normal opening plot. So big tempo jump there, great plot. And Gates of the Moon for our Baratheon player. So I think Stark already have the tempo going into the first round. Plenty of cards in hand. Going to have 7 resources now, plus if they play a limited. But the Baratheon player has stealth and the opportunity for more stealth. So the Baratheon player will likely get some challenges through, which might mean the Stark player will have to trigger the White Book on attack. Let's see. So Baratheon is first player. What do we have? Dragonstone Port, and we have a Chud. Good to get the claim soak. As you can imagine, the White Book deck have a proliferation of military icons, so you can fully expect that they can win military challenges when they want to. Corraine seemed good. Going to nail that Northern Armory. The thing is, kneeling Baratheon isn't always great. Might be better to see what the Stark player marshals, but otherwise that would be good. Baratheon is a traitor. Plenty of gold for Stark. Then what does Sophie have? Duke for Baratheon. Difficult to predict exactly what the Stark player will play because there are so many different Kingsguard in different factions. You know they're going to have some of them, but does it matter in which order they get played? Not necessarily. Like when you play against the Greyjoy Fealty deck, you know you're going to get Euron and Victarion as your main bigs. Great Hall, more econs. So Sophie taking the time here, presumably to let the Baratheon player decide whether they want to core in. But it's only polite, right, that you don't rush through your marshalling triggers to give your opponent the chance to trigger their actions. I think 3, 4, 5 seconds is more than enough in between your marshalling action to give your opponent the time to type in action or to do the action. Shouldn't need too much more time, especially seeing the Baratheon player at the moment. It's got nothing to do but think about doing the action and to click the button. I completely missed that Sophie had a card in Shadows. That is relevant for the Knight of Flowers that's down on the board. Going to get double duty. But she had no intrigue icon. The Crag now, that is a game changer. As we said earlier, Kingsguard can win military fairly straightforward because, as you might expect with Kingsguard, the Knight, they have military icons. There is no Stark King on the board at this point, but you'll still get a chance, you know, a power if you win a military, which is nice. It does get better if you have a Stark King, and the downside, you cannot initiate intrigue challenges, is real. So you won't be getting any unopposed from your intrigue challenges because you can't do them. So you're giving that up. Location is pretty strong. Fortunately, you know, your opponent doesn't set it up all the time. They have to find it. They can't do intrigue challenges. It's contested, which may or may not be relevant. I think the more contested locations in the game that are strong, the better lay siege becomes. Okay, so we have a coin trigger. Yeah, Baratheon won't be standing for his reaction because there are no lord or ladies on the board. Baratheon Wars cannot participate in this first challenge. So, unless any galley stealthing the Knight of Flower would take a Baratheon dupe, I imagine. Exactly what's going to happen. I mean, I wonder what resets the Baratheon Wars have. When you play Wars to Come, you'd think, well, you're definitely going to have a reset. Like some 7 card decks, you question, like to RoW, do they always run a reset? Most do, but some don't. It's 10 cards, you've got no excuse. You're probably running 2. Right, we had an intrigue from the Lytheni Galley, the Lytheni Pirate. Okay, make me think there's no Morgulis in the future, because it might, I mean, to me it kind of makes sense that you do a military stealth flower and get rid of the Baratheon dupe if you're running Valar Morgulis, because it keeps the opponent vulnerable. And whilst their hand is down to 3, and you can attack him in intrigue as well. Okay, so Sophie wins that. I think she can stand him back up. Or do I not understand this agenda? Is that only with a king? Yep, king or queen on attack only, so it's only standing on defense. Got the Crag power. We're going for the blue challenge. So Baratheon have the power on the house card because they did an unopposed challenge. I like this robot, pretty good. Don't care about initiative and you can't attack first. But it's a 3 for 5 bicon in your second, third challenges. Or second, third and fifth and sixth challenges of a round. Nice. We have a 4-0 lead at the end of round 1. Very exciting game. Look at all these viewers. Barra, Stark, Barra, random, Stark. Lots of Team Stark in here. So I guess we're just selecting plots. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what plot Stark plays, whether it will be something like Storm of Sword to press through some military, if you can afford the cards you have in hand, or whether it will be some sort of hand replenishing plot. I don't know. The father duel, ouch. So I don't think this works so well, does it? Can you duel Barristan, Knight of Flowers, kneel Barristan, kill the Knight of Flowers and then stand Barristan? Cannot be saved, so yeah, it will work. Looks good. So I expect Barristan will be knelt because he has a standing ability which could get relevant, and Knight of Flowers will likely die. And maybe at the end of the round, Robar will come back to hand to return something for the father. Nice plot, lots of gold. I think this plot itself is overpowered personally. It's 6 gold plus it, you know, you can get rid of your own weak, cheap character and get rid of your opponent big character, so essentially it could be like a 10, 11 gold plot in terms of the value going to the board or off the board. Why would you not run this ever if you're running cheap uniques? Okay, we have draw. Okay, Baratheon has more cards in hand. They have plenty of econ. Both sides have plenty of econ. So I think now it comes down to how the plots get played and how impactful the cards are that get played to the board and the challenges. So it's not going to be one of those games which is determined by I don't have economy, which, you know, it can happen sometimes and it's not great. But at the gates is a nice leveler in that respect. You tend to have games played with decks doing the best they could do, rather than, you know, some games being washed out because of economy. Alright, well, we've got a Laughing Lord, which means you can gain Intimidate on attack, and a King Landing Mob. Interesting. That could be relevant for the Crag. Well, the Crag can get assaulted by these guys, which means they'll be blank if the mob gets attacked. What's going on here? Looks like we have a changing of mind. Want to save 2 gold. Slightly suspicious. but Sophie allows it. Okay, so yeah, so we just have the mob and saving 2 gold. Not sure why this is not. I presume that was to pay for the Prince of the Narrow Sea, which got retracted. Or was it Laughing Lord? No, it's Laughing Lord, yeah. Okay. Sophie has a lot of gold and can put multiple characters out, I imagine, if she has them in hand, which she should have. You know, the odds are good. Normally 60% of your deck will be characters. Probably slightly less, but the Black Fish, a nice card. I do prefer this Black Fish over the other one. Drawing a card is nice. He's a Lord as well, which is going to be relevant for Baratheon. So if the Baratheon player does a military challenge and it is lost. Okay, I think the Start White book is now struggling slightly for characters on the board. I still expect Robot to come back to hand. Military claim will likely be Blackfish, which would stand Baratheon, so that's going to really deter military from Baratheon. So I'm expecting Baratheon then to maybe do a Corain trigger. It doesn't really matter what start location is now, both of these work standing, I believe. Yep, standing. Yep. So if you Corain and take out the Blackfish, don't do a military, and then you can do an intrigue, I guess. Although it is good because if you Corain the Blackfish, you're not worried about any challenges on the swing back, because Robot can't participate when it comes to Sophie's turn. So I think the best thing probably to do is nil the Blackfish and do intrigue and power. Just my 2 cents. Yeah, the other option is now you can do a big military, use the Laughing Lord, and then if Blackfish is chosen for claim and Baratheon stands, you intimidate Baratheon, and then Robot Boy still can't participate in challenges. I mean, it doesn't really change anything, to be honest. You don't really get anything out of it. I mean, you don't... Oh yeah, Shadows card. How could we forget the Shadows card? King's Landing mob is blank. However, I think the reaction is triggered. It's still going to be discarded. Unfortunately for Sophie, she might have needed to do that before the challenge was initiated. Assuming the Baratheon player wants to... what's going on here? Why didn't that kneel? Is this an Iron Throne issue? Maybe Assault isn't working correctly. Otherwise I misunderstand it. But I thought that Assault is a keyword that triggered at the start of the challenges, which was done. So I think, yeah, I think maybe they should be gone. I don't know, we'll have a look after the game. I'm sure Miha will watch it and let us know whether the assault should have knelt the crag and then discarded it. That may or may not be relevant. Mira is really good for the father as well. You can bring her back to hand. Maybe Corain will go. King's Road gone. Okay, looks like we go to Dom. So if you cannot do challenges at this point, yeah, still uncertain whether the crag should be there. Well, or whether he had the option to, because I think it should be no. The challenge was 1. Assault was triggered, I believe. Yeah, assault was triggered. The crag was blanked, but the challenge was 1. But the location didn't kneel. Oh, cool. He was blanked for the reaction, but the location still didn't kneel, which is irrelevant. So, cool. Glad I worked that one out eventually. Believe it or not, I used to play this game quite a lot. I used to be acceptable. Now I just don't know what things do. So, round 3. It's no longer 4-0, it is 3-2. Baratheon player won the round. But now Corain is back in hand. But Baratheon does have money to get Corain back out again. But the boards look in favour of Stark, with power gaining location as well. Storm of Swords for more military challenges. Sophie will win initiative and probably choose herself to go first. That does leave you open slightly to control effects. But smugglers don't have so many control effects. They have Corain Sath Mantis. Turning out to be an interesting game. Ouch. Mira is gone. The crag could still get assaulted yet. So our Baratheon player has 8 cards in hand, which is a nice healthy amount to play with. Potentially 8 resources to use. We know there's a prince in the Narrow Sea, which, to be honest, if had been played out, could have been interesting. Let me just check to see if unique character, so it was on Corain, which means it would have been back to hand, so fine. Crag duplicated, which is relevant because now the mob gonna die for no reason. Wolf King, also relevant. Really relevant. That's an excellent card to have at this stage on this plot with this location on the board. So we're going to get 2 military challenges, non-kneeling from the Blackfish, with renown, potentially drawing cards and gaining 2 power for each win with the crag. So no surprise to me then if Baratheon played Corraine and knelt the Blackfish. Doesn't look like Stark has any characters though. Seem to be very location heavy. So Corraine is going to kneel a Northern Armory and the Blackfish. I mean, I think it's the only sensible play. Because gaining, 2 renown, 4 power from the crag, non-kneeling is just a no-brainer. Doesn't look like Sophie had any other option. That White Harbour hadn't triggered yet, but that's something that is needed for card draw. I mean, that's how I think every time I build a deck, you get the general concept in mind. I want to build a Stark White Book deck, for example. I think about the core of what I want to achieve, so i.e. Crag, Wolf King, King Rob, military icon, and then you'll need to just put in ways of drawing cards. And then tailoring your plots to make sure you can afford it. So Corraine is Prince of the Narrow Sea now, which means when initiative is lost by the Baratheon player, a smuggler can return the hand to kneel. Opponent character and location of is it equal or lower? Just lower. So it's almost like a Corraine, but it has limits, but you don't have to kneel your own location and you have to lose initiative. Salah would be a commander and gain renown, but unfortunately Corraine is just a pretender. You are the fake Prince of the Narrow Sea, but King of our hearts. Look at that brooding, lank-haired pirate. Fantastic. Okay. I think the Baratheon player has made the correct choice here. We don't have any more characters out. So Sophie can do 2 military challenges, which she probably should. One with Barristan and then the other with Rybar, just to force the opponent to claim 2 characters, essentially. And you'll also get renown on Barristan and power on the crag. So I think this is a sensible call. Also gets Barristan knelt. Barristan doesn't have a power icon, I believe. That's traitor. So also we'll draw a card. So lots of upside with doing the military challenge. I imagine the smuggler will oppose and die. No, going for the win. Doesn't want renown on the crag. Renown on the crag or on Barristan. So I think potentially there's just one more. There we go. Now this one's probably going to be opposed because you're going to kill the smuggler. We have the Blackfish draw. Oh, we have a king as well for the White Book. Really, what a great card. So now we're going to get a power challenge through as well. In addition to a card, a power. Really good. Coraine stolen all the loot from the King's Landing smuggler. What a terrible man. Gonna have an unopposed power challenge. The hound. Which hound is it? Is the ugly? Yeah, that one. Interesting. Show the Winterfell steward. Don't know if that's right. Give some claim soak. Probably is correct. Doesn't look like there's a threat to the board. Well, I can't really see any resets coming. Neither of them are likely to be playing Political Disaster or Mad King Command. Wildfire could be in one of the decks. Valar D, not so impactful. They both go down to 2 characters. Morghulis would hurt Baratheon more. Eight to 3. So big jump in power from the end of round 2, which was 3-2 to the start player. Now it's 8-3. So round 3 won by Stark. I do like that 3 gold plots when they see play, and they do well, because they're not very popular because they are quite low in gold. But this has worked pretty well. Crag bringing other cards out of the binder. You win or you die versus parlay. Ooh. Well, I'm sure you win or you die was intended to do big military with lots of renown, 2 claim, crag, and then power also with blackfish and whatever else. Unfortunately, parlay is likely to be done on military. That is an excellent counter, I must say. Because without parlay, that's just a normal generic plot. Then there's a danger Stark will win it. Okay, so if you it's the first player, 9 gold, great haul as well potentially to use. Must have some more characters at this point. Although it's going to be tempting, I imagine, for the Baratheon player to play a reset next round, knowing that the opponent will have 0 cards in hand. Which makes repopulating the board tough. They will have a Barristan, of course. He only has a military icon and no power. Well, that's not true. He does have the power icon, but cannot contribute to his strength. Nightmares. That is interesting. Nightmares on Corain. So Corain can still do his thing in challenge phase. So we'll see what the plan is there. Chuds. Just chuds. Okay. A great haul, obviously now one for the brand. Baratheon player couldn't possibly argue against that. Let's see what Baratheon can do. So 7 gold and a Dragonstone port. Not having to worry about military claim this round. The consideration is going to be whether a reset will be played next turn. And with that in mind, what characters do you play out? It is still a 2 claim plot in power. You know they're going to put Sophie potentially on 12. I mean, you could put Baratheon in just to get the renown, although he won't contribute strength, he'll still get renown for being there. Providing it can be won, which at the moment it can. But unfortunately, Robar won't be in the challenge because there's no military to do, which means Sophie can only do a power challenge. So the Crag downside really coming into effect here. And we have a big... So I'm thinking Valar now becomes much better because only 2 characters will be alive. Corain can bring something back if he wished to, but I'm not sure whether he would. You know, he may come back to hand and put a steward back, I don't know, and let these others die. So Morghulis seems better now for Baratheon. For Stark, probably not. It's going to be a struggle. This plot counter was just really bad timing for Stark. So Corain can fire now. So I'm wondering if Corain will kneel the Blackfish. I think it would be advantageous because it means you can win the power challenge. So these, do they work on defense? Probably not. Blah, 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 blah. Attacking, gains 1 power, yep. Okay, tough round for Stark. It's been a real back and forth game because I believe Stark won the first round, Baratheon won the second round, Stark won the third round, and I think potentially Baratheon could do well in this round. So we're waiting on an action. I don't know if we're waiting for Stark to spend some of that 4 gold on something, or whether we're waiting on Baratheon to trigger Corain. If it's me, I think I'll kneel the Blackfish because that means to do a challenge, Stark can only do 1 and it will be a 3 strength power challenge which can be won on defense. And then you can still do your intrigue with the Lyseni pirate, and then your power with your Salador Sans Lyseni. So that would be power claim and you would also get a power because there are 2 kneeling locations, potentially 3. 3 power because there will be a 4th if you trigger the assault and kneel one of these. So we were going to have a Nightmares on Corrine. We have no Nightmares on Corrine because it's been cancelled by the Hand's Judgment. Feels like a corset scenario here. It's been that long since I've seen Hand's Judgment played. So I do believe this is going to be a tempo round for Baratheon now. That second Nightmares could have been clutch. I think probably the best thing for Sophie to do here is a 1 strength power challenge with the Chud, which means if the Baratheon player doesn't sequence his challenges properly, if he does power second, it can be defended, or at least opposed better. If you do a power with a Winterfell Steward and it's defended by the mob, then you've got 7 strength and power icon standing for the galley. The galley can still win it. It's got 2 extra boats for +1 strength. The forces harder decisions, much easier if Baratheon just do power first. Not sure what's taking the time here, whether there's something else being played. Right, getting the power. Yep, 1 strength power challenge makes sense. Defended by the mob makes sense. So it's going to force our Baratheon player to use both boats on the galley. Well, probably doesn't need to if it goes first. It does go first. White Harbour's blank. I'm going to get some power gain here. Going to be opposed by a Chud, I imagine. Doesn't seem to be a visible reason to block a win by 5. Not that that can happen anyway, but you'd force it by kneeling Bran and the Chud. Now with both, turns out it was not relevant to block a win by 5. And now I think we're going to end the round with Sophie on 1 power higher. Mr. Still Your Gold. A 3rd nightmare, Jesus. Well, I guess that's you and all your die draw with it. 3 nightmares. So if you win Dom and we're 8-7, end of the round, going into what could be the last round. The pace has been fairly slow. We're going to get to 5 plots and maybe not that slow. Now I'm interested to see if there's going to be a reset from Baratheon here. Morgulus can work, leaves you with little gold, you're relying on the opponent not drawing much. Wildfire is an option. You probably kill off, I don't know what you kill off. you wouldn't be able to lose initiative well for this. Which makes me think Morgulis might be better. Wildfire could be done, it'd do more damage I suppose, but you know, it'd leave Blackfish controllable. He doesn't have a power icon, he can't participate in the first challenge. The first snow of winter. Ouch. Again, it looks like Stark have the tempo for this round. Baratheon's not going to get a great deal of money, although Baratheon's board is completely resilient to first snow. So we've got a Corain trigger here. Robar is going to go back to hand, but there's still going to be a meaty military challenge coming in from Blackfish and Baratheon. 2 renowned and the Crag, so 3. Blackfish can do a power challenge as well. Sails, that is really good for Baratheon because now Corain can restand and kneel the Blackfish. Excellent. That looks like really good tech. This has been a quite an interesting game with what is essentially an aggro deck versus a control deck. Because you wouldn't think smugglers are pure control. They're not, but once you draw Corain, it basically is. Corain is so annoying at this point. Oh, now that just takes Baratheon out of the game as well. Though this is definitely a Baratheon round, surely. Well, we'll see what Sophie has drawn with the 2 cards. Oh, Jesus, terrible. Okay, so 2 Winterfell Stewards back to Sophie's hand. It's kind of like draw, right? It's just unfortunate for a start to come up against a Baratheon deck which actively seeks to kneel your locations as well. That hurts with the Northern Armoury not being able to be used. Of course, Corain is less effective against core Rob strategies, unless there are milks and blanks, but we haven't seen any milk yet. So I think, you know, the players should probably try and hurry through this round to get to the next one, where you would if you're Stark, because otherwise you will have not a lot of time and you'll be down significantly on power. Oh, use his galley outside of an action window. Wait your turn, sir. What day is it today? Is it Friday? I think it is Friday. Yeah, it is Friday. I'm lost because I've got the day off. I feel like it's the weekend. It's not the weekend, it's just Friday. Okay. Pirate, stealthing, Barristan. Do we do Barristan Duke for claim? Probably. We're not going to claim anything else. We're going in with a big military. So I'm presuming then that for the assault, so when the galley assaults the Rose Road and nails it, there'll be 3 power to the galley. Plus unopposed and claim. And then when Baratheon does a challenge, your storms end it to a power. So it is a fizzle. Pretty good sequencing, obviously challenges here. Has a very well thought out plan of how he would like this round to go, by making sure there are 3 locations knelt for Salador, Sans, Lyseni to gain maximum amount of power. I must say I've enjoyed this game. We've seen the Crag doing some work, and a Crag deck, see how that would look, a new card. And Salador, Sans, Lyseni, another new card, getting lots of power there, working hard for its trigger, affecting the challenge phase just so you can get a better trigger. It looked really good, and the fact that those 2 Northern Armories always give it at least 1 power each challenge phase is just, you know, cherry on top. So we're going to end this round on 13-8. And we are going to get another round in. Right, question is Stark going to be able to use any of their characters in a military challenge? Because that would be huge. If Stark can just get a military challenge off, that's 1, 2, 3 renown, power on the Crag, that's 5 power, and then another challenge coming in from the Blackfish at least. Puts a lot of pressure on. Not sure it's enough to win the game with Storm's End opposite, changing it to power if needed. This means Baratheon won't contribute to his strength. Wildfire and For the Realm. Okay, I think Baratheon can close it out here. For the Realm indicates there's an army in hand, because, you know, Storm's End's already out, the galley already out. Yep, you can't trigger Prince of the Narrow Sea. Unless you return the galley to hand to return Blackfish, which, not the galley, the Lyseni. What's going on here? Return a captain or smuggler to your hand to choose and nail 1 character and 1 location each. So has that smuggler gone back to hand illegally? Because if nothing was knelt, a character wasn't knelt, so the whole thing didn't trigger. So that smuggler should have just died to wildfire. So if that smuggler comes back out, that is illegal. Yep, kneeling econs. We know Sophie has 2 Winterfell stewards in hand. Yep, out it comes the Horn of Winter. Curious. Who knew that Robb Stark would own the Horn of Winter? Can get rid of strongholds. Alright, let's see if the plot is relevant or whether it was just played for low initiative for Prince of the Narrow Sea. Who knows? I don't know. Cell bestowed, so we're going to get another Corain trigger. One per phase, so we can have loads of Corain triggers. But one is probably all you need. So let's hope the Baratheon player doesn't marshal the pirate. Nope. Stannis' host. I think that is game over. And it was a good game. It just, you know, one plot countered another plot at the right time. Sophie recognises the loss. Doesn't concede yet, but recognises the loss. You can concede. I say this to my opponents a lot. Like, you can concede if you like. I don't like to concede. I see. You're taking an extra 5 minutes away from my daughter here. Come on, Sophie. What are you going to do? Power with a chud? I mean, that's 0 strength, right? It is 0 strength. Oh my. Yeah, so well played by Baratheon for playing the parlay at Storm's End at a really, really important time. Yeah, into your win or you die. Essentially nullifying the military. Stark could not initiate the intrigue and did not have enough power to go through with the power challenge. Now we're just running through triggers. We're going to change that to power. Power for 9. We're going to defend with the host and the mob probably. Yeah. Win on defense, gets the renown up to 14. How does Baratheon want to win it? Just a sneaky little unopposed intrigue. Congratulations to Baratheon player, commiseration to Stark player. I believe the scores are now 5-3. Baratheon cannot lose. Yeah, well played both. Thank you for tuning into this game with the White Walkers, i.e. me today. I hope you've enjoyed watching it back if you weren't able to watch it live. If you have any feedback for me, even if that feedback is just bring back Rebecca. I've tried. Believe me, she just needs more peer pressure. But until then, goodbye.